Now take the Interstate 95 South ramp on the right.
Okay, this is the final video for the test loop, and this is all highway, on-ramp to off-ramp, using Navigate on Autopilot with automatic lane changes. Here I've just set it to highway speeds. However, Autopilot is maintaining the speed it is comfortable with on the on-ramp, which is actually a pretty decent speed. As it finishes this final corner, it gets pretty close to the left side. It doesn't go over the line. In fact, there's still quite a bit of distance there, but it does make the person in that right lane nervous. I don't blame them for the friendly honk there. It doesn't use its turn signal sometimes on on-ramps. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it's because of the merge type or something like that, but I tend to use my turn signal no matter what. Navigate on Autopilot is now telling me it wants to make turn into the left lane soon. I have it set to just do this without confirmation. So again, I have my hands on the wheel, so you won't see notifications here other than the fact that it wants to make that turn. Lane changes are actually very smooth, and they have been for quite a while. Tesla's done a really good job of highway lane changes. You'll see it's about to move into the fast lane. Does a really good job of this as well. And it moves pretty quickly. After it decides and puts the turn signal on, it moves over very quickly. Here it tells me that it wants to get back into the center lane, but it's waiting, and I notice that it sees a car kind of in my blind spot there, and it's waiting for it to actually pass before it turns the turn signal on and gets over. As you can see, it turns red there for a second as it's moving over, and then the car gets into the center lane. That was really well done. Here the car in the center lane slows down, so Navigate on Autopilot decides to get into the passing lane. Now the interesting thing about this, and you'll see it in a second, is that the car in the center lane speeds up after the car in front of it moves out of its way, and eventually Autopilot will move right back into that center lane, which is great. Now we probably could have done this a little bit faster, but it wasn't too long, and it's a great feature to get you out of the passing lane and out of the way of other traffic. The car in the center lane has slowed down again to the point where Autopilot wants to get back into the passing lane. Again, does this very smoothly. Navigate on Autopilot is now moving me back into the center lane, and it seems to do this more often when there are cars behind you. I'm not sure if that's actually the case or not, but it does seem like it does that more often than not. Once the car passes, Navigate on Autopilot decides to go back into the passing lane to pass the car in the center lane. Here's a situation where the car in the center lane, the silver car, has been speeding up and slowing down. Once it speeds up, kind of for the second or third time, it decides to get behind it to let other cars pass. As we're going up this next hill, cars in the center lane were going a bit slower. Navigate on Autopilot actually waited for this car to pass, and then turned the turn signal on and moved over into the passing lane. This was the first anomaly on the trip. After passing that truck, it decides to get back into the center lane. As it was starting to merge over into that center lane, it decides to cancel the lane change, and I take over and merge the rest of the way into the center lane and then turn Autopilot back on. I'm not sure if it was the bridge seam that kind of caused that or something else, Occasionally happens, but not all that often. If I had let it go back into the left lane, it would probably attempt that lane change again further down the road. Going up another hill, center lane is slowing down again, and Autopilot decides to get into the fast lane. And again, Autopilot does a great job of getting out of the fast lane when it's no longer passing. This is really a lifesaver on trips and in traffic. I'm now getting close to my exit, and it's telling me it's going to turn into that right lane. You can even see on the dash that it's flashing a line through that right lane. It's waited for this car to pass most of the way, and then it turns its turn signal on. You see it turns red there for a moment, and then it gets into the right lane. The exit is real smooth, and the really interesting part about this is that this off lane splits into two lanes, one going right and one going straight and left. And I'm going to be going right based on navigation, and it stays on navigate on autopilot throughout the off ramp, and you'll see the turn signal actually turn on here occasionally as it decides to go to the right side of the lane. Once the lines show up, it turns the turn signal on again to get into that right lane, I guess officially, and then it follows traffic right around to the right of this. And just after the turn, navigate on autopilot turns off, and then regular autopilot is engaged. So really impressive. Tesla has gotten very good at highway. Navigate on autopilot is pretty smooth. The automatic lane changing is also pretty great. Okay, that's it for the test loop. So we've done some country roads, some twisty roads, and some navigate on autopilot on highway. So 2019.32.1 is pretty solid, and looking forward to seeing some of the upcoming improvements, especially with version 10. Thanks for watching.